Twilight has a way of making the familiar feel dangerous. Tom Brennan knew that ridge path like the back of his calloused hands. Every dip, every loose stone that could slide under your boot. He'd walked it 1,000 times. But tonight, as the last bruised light bled from the sky, something felt wrong. The air was too still. Too quiet. His flashlight flickered like a heartbeat, weak and failing. Each crunch of gravel underfoot echoed too loudly in the silence, the kind of loud that reminds you how alone you are. Then he heard it. Low guttural, and ancient. A growl that didn't belong to any dog. Tom froze, breath caught in his chest. The beam swept the underbrush. 2 amber eyes stared back, cold and steady, a cougar, full-grown, stalking. He gripped a fallen branch. Easy, easy now. His voice trembled as the cat's muscles rippled, coiled for the strike. Then, a sudden crack of hooves shattered the stillness. From the dark burst a deer, head lowered, nostrils flaring, a challenge that shouldn't have been possible for prey. Tom stared, heart pounding. He knew those eyes, the same wounded creature he'd once known, returned now from the wild. Have you ever faced a moment where fear said, run, but instinct said, stay? Share your story, and subscribe for more tales of bravery and unexpected heroism.
Months earlier, the world had been softer. Summer mornings and the Brennan farm smelled of hay and coffee, sunlight heavy in the air. Golden wet stretched beneath a sky so blue it hurt to look at. Hard, honest work left muscles sore, skin dusty, and the mind clear. Tom Brennan and his son Eli worked on the fence line that morning, stretching a new barbed wire where the winter storms had torn the old. The sun climbed higher, bees hummed lazily over the wild clover, and a pair of crows watched from the power lines as if supervising the job. Eli paused, resting one boot on a fence post, sweat beaded along his temple, catching the light. You ever think about slowing down, Dad? Maybe hiring some help? Tom's laugh came out like a gravel turned in a bucket. Fences don't fix themselves, son. Besides, what would I do? Sit on the porch and watch the grass grow? Might be nice for once. Might be boring. Eli grinned, shaking his head. They fell into rhythm. Wire stretched, hammer struck, staples bit wood. Tom liked it, the simple math of repair, restoring what nature had broken. He was proud of this life, and of Eli, who stayed when others left. Between them lay a quiet understanding, built from years of shared labor. Then, Eli stopped mid-swing. His head tilted slightly. Dad, you hear that? At first, Tom only heard the wind brushing through tall grass. Then it came again, sharper this time. A thrashing sound, frantic and close. Something struggling. They followed it toward a low ditch choked with weeds. The noise grew desperate, a whimper tangled with the metallic rasp of wire. And then they saw it. A fawn lay twisted in the grass, its russet coat still dotted with white, caught in a snare of barbed wire that had coiled back on itself like a trap. The barbs bit into its legs, its flank, even around its small throat. Blood slicked its fur where it had fought to break free. Flies buzzed at the wounds. The smell of iron filled the air. Oh man, Eli breathed. We should call somebody, animal control, a vet. No time, Tom said, already moving. He pulled wire cutters from his belt. Keep struggling like that, it'll bleed out before anyone gets here. Dad, be careful if it kicks. Then it kicks me. He approached slowly, voice low and steady. Easy now, little one, easy. The fawn trembled, sides heaving. Tom could see its pulse beating fast beneath the thin skin of its throat. He knelt in the dirt and started cutting. The wire fought him, stiff and rusted, each snip releasing another gasp of freedom. Barbs tore at his hands. Blood streaked the handles of his cutters. Eli hovered close, breath held. Almost there, Tom murmured, almost. The last strand gave way with a sharp snap. The fawn jerked once, a wild spasm of panic, and a hoof struck Tom's shoulder hard enough to blur his vision. Then it stumbled upright, trembling, unsteady. For a long moment, it just stood there, staring at him. The woods had gone completely still. Tom stayed kneeling, hands bleeding into the dry earth. The fawn took one shaky step, then another, before slipping into the trees. It turned back just once. That look. Tom had worked with animals all his life: cattle, horses, dogs, barn cats. He knew the difference between instinct and awareness. But what passed between them then felt like something else entirely. Something that stayed. Eli helped him up, eyes tracing the cuts on his father's palms. "You think it'll make it?" "Maybe," Tom said, "if infection doesn't set in." Eli hesitated. "You think it'll remember you helped?" Tom pulled a handkerchief from his pocket, wrapping one bleeding hand. "Doesn't matter if it does. Kindness ain't a transaction, son. It's just doing right when you can." They finished the fence in silence, walking home through fields burnished by afternoon lights. By the time the first frost came, Tom had forgotten all about the deer, but the woods hadn't. Winter came hard that year, early, mean, and without mercy. The first storms hit before Thanksgiving, rolling down from the high country like silent avalanches. Feed prices rose, temperatures dropped, fences buckled, and the livestock grew restless, snorting at something unseen in the night. And Tom felt every one of his 57 years settle into his bones like frost. He tried not to show it, not in front of Eli, but the aches in his hip came earlier each day, and the morning seemed darker than they should have been. Grief had its own kind of winter, and he'd been living in it for 2 years. That evening, Eli stood in the kitchen doorway while Tom pulled on his heavy coat. "You're not doing this alone," the boy said. "I'm coming with you to check the north field." Tom didn't look up. "Your truck's still making that noise. You said you'd get it looked at." "It's fine." "It's not fine, and I'm not having you break down on some back road in the dark. I can handle closing the field." Tom tested his flashlight. The beam came out strong. "Been doing this since before you were born." "Yeah? And you weren't 30 anymore even then." Eli muttered. "Dad, you're being stubborn." "I'm being practical," Tom said. "One of us breaks down, the other's there to help. We both go. Both get stuck, then what?" It was the kind of argument they'd had often lately. Not about fences or trucks, but about the empty chair at the table. The space where Sarah used to sit, coffee in hand, softening the silence between father and son. She'd been gone 2 years now. Some days it felt like yesterday. Some days it felt like forever. Her photo still sat on the mantel. Silver frame, soft smile, eyes that saw through every defense. Sometimes Tom caught himself staring, waiting for her voice to tell him what he was doing wrong, or that it was okay to stop pretending. But the photo never spoke. It just smiled that knowing smile, eternal and silent, and Tom would turn away, pour another cup of coffee he didn't need, and tell himself he was fine. He wasn't fine. "I'll be back before 9," he said, already heading for the door. "You get the truck looked at tomorrow, you hear? Dad." But Tom was already gone. Boots crunching through fresh snow that had started falling an hour earlier and showed no signs of stopping. The north field lay at the property's edge, where farmland met forest, a mile uphill that felt steeper each year. The cold bit through his coat, the air sharp and metallic, snow on his breath. By the time he reached the fence line, visibility had dropped to 20 feet. The world was a shrinking spear of white with him at its center, small and solitary. His radio crackled, Eli's voice breaking through static. "Dad, you there?" "Yeah, I'm here," Tom said, pressing the talk button with stiff fingers. "About to check the posts." "Storm's getting worse," Eli said. "And Dad?" the sheriff called. "There've been sightings." "Sightings of what?" "Big cat. Cougar. Moved down from high country. They think it's hunting." Tom let out a long breath that fogged in front of him. "Great. That's just what I needed." "Dad, come back. The fence can wait." "I'm already here," he said. "Might as well finish." He clicked the radio off before Eli could argue. The fence needed work. 2 posts down, wire sagging low with ice. He set his flashlight on a stump, pulled tools from his pack. His hands were already numb, even through gloves. But he worked quickly, routine, familiar. The rhythm of repair was the one thing in life he still trusted. That's when he saw them. Tracks in the snow. Fresh ones. Split hooves. Deer. Moving slowly, deliberately, like it knew exactly where it was going. The trail followed the fence line and stopped right where he'd cut that barbed wire months ago. The spot where the fawn had bled. Tom straightened. The cold crawled deeper, heavy and instinctive. There were other tracks too. Larger, rounder, spaced wide. Each print is twice the size of his fist, padded, predatory. They circled the deer's path like punctuation marks in the snow. The cougar had been there, recently. Tom's breath fogged shallow. He reached for the flashlight, and the beam flickered, dimmed. "No," he whispered, "not now." He shook it. The light surged briefly, then faded to a weak yellow halo that barely touched the dark. The wind shifted, and in that small shift, the world changed. A low growl rolled through the trees, ancient, guttural, alive with hunger. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. It wasn't just sound, it was memory. A sound that reached back past civilization to the part of the brain that remembered what it meant to be prey. Tom's hand fumbled for the radio. His glove slipped. The device fell into the snow with a muffled thud. He grabbed it, thumb shaking over the button. Eli. Static. Nothing. He was too far from the house, too far from anything that could help. Snow felt thick, erasing his tracks as fast as he made them. The forest pressed close, dark shapes staring beyond his fading light. And somewhere in the storm, faint and distant, he almost heard Sarah's voice telling him to turn back. He wished he had. Tom lifted his head. The light caught something at the edge of the sight. A flash of movement, low and powerful. 2 amber eyes blinked once, unhurried, cold. The growl came again, closer this time, vibrating through his ribs. He tightened his grip on the hammer in one hand and the fence pliers in the other, his makeshift weapons trembling. Every instinct screamed to run, but he knew what that would mean. You don't run from a predator, not when it's already watching. "Easy," he muttered, his own voice the only thing anchoring him to the world. easy now. Snow swirled in a beam-tying circle, wind whistling through broken wire. The woods felt alive, aware. Tom took one step backward, then another. He wasn't alone out there anymore. And whatever was with him, it was hungry. Somewhere beyond the storm, the woods remembered. The cougar emerged from the darkness like a smoke-given form. Massive, muscled, every inch of it was built for killing. It moved with the terrible grace of a perfect predator, shoulders rolling beneath tawny fur, tail flicking in that tense, deliberate rhythm that meant focus, meant hunger. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Tom's flashlight flickered one last time, then died completely. Total darkness. Only the faint snow glow remained, that eerie, colorless light when sky and ground blur into one. It was enough to see shapes but not details, enough to see death approaching. Tom raised his arms, made himself big. The old advice, the survival guides, the stories. Don't run. Make noise. Look larger than you are. Hey, his voice cracked. Get back. Go on. Get. He threw a stick. It landed short, swallowed by the snow. The cougar stopped, tilted its head, almost curious, almost amused. It knew what he was doing, it just didn't care. Then it took another step forward, silent as a shadow. Tom's foot caught on the half-buried fence post he'd been repairing, and he fell backward, landing hard. His tools scattered, clinking against frozen ground. The fall knocked the air out of him. For a moment, his lungs forgot how to breathe. When he dragged in a rasping breath, the cougar was 5 feet away. He could see its eyes now, amber fire in the snowlight, cold and calculating, absent of malice or cruelty, only instinct, the simple arithmetic of survival, eat or be eaten. Tom scrambled backward until his spine hit the fallen tree. No more room to retreat, no weapon, no light, no hope of outrunning it. The cat lowered its head, haunches tightening, muscles gathering, claws slid from their sheaths like knives. Tom didn't see his life flash before him. He saw Eli, their last sharp argument, the words left hanging. His boy in the doorway trying to bridge a silence Tom was too proud to cross. The cougar's tail went still. That's how you know. When the tail stops moving, the strike begins. Tom closed his eyes. He wished he'd turned back. And then the world erupted. A sound like thunder, hooves pounding frozen ground, the sharp, violent snort of something charging fast. The air tore apart around him. Tom's eyes flew open. From the tree line, a shape burst through the storm. A full-grown deer, muzzle rippling, head low like a battering ram. It hit the clearing like a force of nature, snow erupting around it. The cougar wheeled, startled, maybe for the first time in its life. Prey wasn't supposed to run towards the predator. The deer struck the ground inches from the cat's face. The earth shuddered beneath the impact. Steam rose from its nostrils, curling in the cold air like prayer smoke. The cougar hissed, low and feral, its ears flattened. For a heartbeat, predator and prey stared at each other, a confrontation written outside the laws of nature. Then the deer reared. Front hooves pawed the air and came down hard. The sound cracked through the night like splitting wood. The cougar flinched back. One step, two. The deer advanced, relentless. No fear, no hesitation, just raw defiance. Its eyes burned with something deeper than instinct. It stepped sideways, broad and tall, placing itself squarely between Tom and the predator, as if to say, "You'll have to go through me first." The cougar bared its teeth, but its confidence had slipped. This wasn't prey anymore. This was something else, something it didn't understand. Another strike of hooves, another sharp snort. The message was clear. The cougar made its choice. It turned, slinking backward into the trees, melting into shadow as silently as it had appeared. Silence fell. The snow hissed faintly where it landed on the deer's back. Tom sat against the fallen tree, breath tearing in and out of his chest. His pulse roaring in his ears. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. The deer stood there in half light, sides heaving, breath rising in silver clouds. Slowly, it turned its head towards him. Those eyes, he knew them. The same eyes that had stared at him months ago, tangled in barbed wire, bleeding, terrified, while he caught the steel and whispered that it would be okay. Recognition passed between them like a current, wordless, certain. Tom's throat tightened. He didn't understand it. It was enough to feel that something remembered him. Something wild and wordless that shouldn't have, but it did. The deer stepped forward, ears flicking towards the forest. A branch cracked in the distance. It turned, alert, then looked back once more. There was no language in that look, only the weight of two lives that had crossed and changed each other. Tom found his voice, rough and small. "Wait!" But the deer didn't wait. Tom stood trembling, snow melting in his collar as the world fell silent again. The deer's tracks led to the trees. The cougar veered away. By morning, the snow would erase them, but he knew it had been real. He pressed a hand to the warm imprint of hooves and felt something stir inside him, a small, steady warmth. For the first time all winter, he didn't feel alone. Morning came, eventually cold. Eli found him first, bursting through the snow with Jim Henderson, their closest neighbor. Both of them red-faced and breathing hard from running the ridge path. "Dad!" Eli dropped to his knees beside Tom, hands already checking for injuries. "We've been looking for 2 hours. Your radio went dead. You didn't come home." "I'm fine." Tom's voice came out rusty and used. "I'm okay." But he wasn't fine. His flashlight lay dead in the snow. His coat was torn at the shoulder. He couldn't remember when. His hands were numb, legs stiff from the cold, and his eyes kept drifting to the tree line. Jim Henderson squatted down, studying Tom with the practiced assessment of a man who'd lived through 70 winters in these mountains. "You don't look fine. You look like you've seen a ghost." "Not a ghost." Tom accepted Eli's hand. Let his son pull him to his feet. His joints protested. Let his son pull him to his feet. His joints protested. Everything protested. Something else. They walked him slowly back towards the house. But Tom kept stopping, kept looking back. "Dad, what happened out here?" Eli's voice carried fear, wrapped in frustration. "You've been sitting in the snow for hours. The radio, did you fall? Hit your head?" Started to speak, stopped. "How do you explain the unexplainable? How do you describe something that shouldn't exist in the rational world of fences and livestock and morning coffee?" "There was a cougar," he said finally. "Big one. Had me cornered." Jim's eyebrows rose. "Sheriff said they'd been sighted. You're lucky to." A deer stopped it. The words hung in the cold air. Eli and Jim exchanged glances. The kind of look that passes between people who are trying to decide if someone needs a hospital or a psychiatric ward. A deer? Eli replied slowly. Stopped a cougar from attacking you? I know how it sounds. Tom pulled free from their supporting hands, stood on his own. But it happened. I'm telling you, it happened. Dad, it was dark. You were scared. I wasn't hallucinating, Eli. I wasn't confused. Tom's voice gained strength. It charged the cougar, drove it off, protected me. Jim cleared his throat carefully. Tom, with all respect, you've been under a lot of stress. Missing Sarah is working you too hard. Sometimes our minds look at the goddamn tracks. Tom pointed back towards the fence line. You think I imagined those two? They followed Tom's stumbling trail from the night before. The story etched in snow and dirt. Cougar prints circled the spots where he'd been, claws deep, ready to strike. Deer tracks tore from the trees, hooves pounding the earth in defense. Then, a retreat. The cougar's trail veers back into the woods. Jim Henderson knelt in the snow, running his weathered fingers along the edge of a hoofprint. He was quiet for a long time. I've hunted these mountains for 50 years, he said. Seen bears fish at midnight, coyotes play like dogs, ravens mourn their dead, but I've never seen anything like this. Eli stood beside the deer tracks, his face pale. He reached down, touched the impression where the deer had stood its ground. Dead, he said quietly. Remember that fawn? The one caught in the wire? Tom nodded. These tracks. Eli looked up, and Tom saw belief dawning in his son's eyes. Impossible belief, but belief nonetheless. They lead from the same spot where we found it, where you caught it free. The three men stood in silence, looking at the evidence written in snow and earth. Evidence of something that shouldn't happen, something that defied every natural law they knew. Jim broke the silence first, choosing words carefully. Maybe kindness echoes further than we think. Maybe it ripples out in ways we can't measure or predict. Or maybe it was just coincidence, Eli said, but his voice carried no conviction. Random chance. The deer was in the area and scared the cougar off by accident. You believe that? Tom asked. Eli looked at his father, and Tom saw something shift in his son's face. The skepticism falling away, replaced by wonder, by understanding that some things can't be explained, only witnessed. No, Eli said softly. No, I don't believe that at all. They walked back to the house together, the three of them quiet, each lost in thought. Jim peeled up at his property line with a wave and a promise to check on Tom later. Father and son continued alone. At the porch steps, Eli stopped. I'm sorry, Dad, for not believing you right away, for thinking you'd. It's fine, son. No, it's not, Eli said, his voice unsteady. After Mom died, I kept waiting for you to fall apart. Maybe I was looking so hard I didn't see you were still standing. Tom put a hand on his shoulder. I'm not fine, son. Haven't been for a while, but I'm still here. Because of a deer. Because kindness echoes, Tom smiled, the expression feeling strange on his winter-chapped face. Even when we think nobody's listening. They stood there on the porch, steam rising from coffee mugs Eli made, watching the sun climb higher. The farm spread out before them, struggling but surviving, wounded but whole, like them. And at that tree line, barely visible in the morning mist, a shape moved, four-legged, graceful, there for a moment, then gone. Eli saw it too. He didn't say anything. Some moments don't need words. Spring came late that year. walking the land green and fierce. Wet fields shimmered under sky so blue they seemed painted. Wildflowers, lupine and paintbrush broke through the fence lines, and the world remembered to breathe. Tom stood on the porch, coffee steaming, savoring the hush before the farm awoke, light shifting from gray to gold. Sarah had stood there too. He liked to think she still did. The farm had steadied, feed prices leveled, soil was recovering, and Eli had hired a quiet helper. This time, Tom didn't argue. Down by the tree line, movement caught his eye. Two shapes in the mist, a doe and her fawn. The young one's coat was still dotted with white, new life written in spots and sunlight. They gazed near the edge of the woods, unhurried, unafraid. Tom felt it before he understood it, that pulse of recognition deep in the chest. The doe lifted her head, met his gaze across the distance, and in her eyes, dark and wide and knowing, he saw something that stopped his breath. "Thank you," he whispered. The word sounded small against the wind, for everything. The screen door creaked behind him. "Morning, Dad," Eli said, stepping out with his own mug, his hair stuck up at odd angles. "Who are you talking to?" Tom smiled faintly. "Just an old friend." Eli followed his father's gaze. "She's beautiful." "She's more than that," Tom said quietly. They stood together, the sun climbing, the mist thinning. The fawn bounded close to the fence, testing the border between wild and tame. Its mother didn't run, just watched, trusting the space between them. "You think she'll teach it?" Eli asked. "The fawn. You think she'll teach it what happened?" Tom thought for a long moment. "I don't know if they remember like we do," he said. "But maybe they don't have to. But maybe they don't have to. It's not about remembering, it's about living proof. That fawn's alive because someone showed mercy once, that's enough." Eli nodded slowly, kindness rippling forward. Tom smiled. "Yeah, something like that." The fawn leaped into the tall grass, reckless and bright. Tom laughed, startled by the sound. It had been a long time since laughter felt natural. That doe watched her young for a moment, then turned back to him. One last look, before she slipped back into the green shadows. Eli was quiet for a while. Then, "You realize what would have happened if you hadn't stopped that day? If you'd driven past the fence?" "Every day," Tom said. "But maybe that's the point. Every time we choose compassion over convenience, it changes something. Maybe not right away, but it matters." Eli's eyes softened. "Mom would have liked that." Tom swallowed hard. She lived it. Never met a broken thing she didn't try to fix. "Like you." He shook his head, a small smile breaking through. "I learned from the best." They stayed until the coffee cooled and sunlight sharpened. The world moved on, yet everything felt quietly changed, as if the land had learned to. When Eli went inside, Tom lingered, the breeze carrying wild flowers and thawed soil, a hawk crying overhead, the forest whispering life beyond the trees. He lifted his mug towards the trees. "Until next time," he murmured. The farm would always need mending. Fences would break, seasons would turn, but his hands worked differently now, gentler, steadier, as if they remembered what mercy had taught them. Sometimes, on quiet mornings, he'd see shapes moving where the light met the trees, deer grazing, unhurried, living proof that kindness leaves traces, invisible threads connecting moment to moment, life to life. And Tom would smile, knowing it was enough. That somewhere in ways he couldn't name, kindness still walked, and it remembered everyday heroes are all around us.